Hey everybody, welcome to Asmodeah City. I am Lord Gearth. I'll be your cruise director for this here adventure that we're going to go on today. And today we again are going to be talking about the Foundry virtual tabletop server. So if you're a player, you can stick around obviously to watch this if you like, but this is more geared towards DMs and GMs and how we make some cool things happen for you, the players. So today we are going to be talking about a module, and this particular module is Monk's Enhanced Journal. Now, this module does a ton of different things, and so literally I could spend 4 or 5 hours going through all the things that it does, and I'm obviously not going to do that to you. But today we're going to talk about just the portion of the module where we can do shops. We can create shops or stores, if you will, for your players, which is really cool because then you can control, what's in the stores, how they interact with the stores, all these different things. It's amazing. So let's talk everything Monk's Enhanced Journal for shops anyway, right after this.
Welcome, adventurer, to Asmodeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back. And again, my name is Lord Gearth here with Asmodeah City. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. I know many of you have, and we're kind of growing like crazy now, which is really cool to see. I really love it, and I appreciate all of our subscribers. And also, once you've watched this video, and if you like it, please hit that like button down at the bottom. And I'm going to be asking a question at the end of the video, and I'm not going to ask it now because you don't have any reference to what I'm going to ask about. So at the end of the video, I'm going to ask a question. I'd love it if you guys would be willing, guys and gals, would be willing to put in a comment down below to kind of answer that question for me. It'd be super helpful, and we can use it for future reference on future videos and other things that we're doing. So, all right, let's get started in this. Now, again, we're going to be talking about Monk's Enhanced Journal, and I'm going to break this into kind of 5 sections for you. We're going to be looking at first the module installation itself, and many of you have chastised me and said, hey, wait, you didn't tell us how to install the module. It's like, okay, fair enough. I'll do that. That makes total sense. Then I'm going to show you how to do the basic setup, the kind of out-of-the-box setup for a particular shop or a set of shops, if you will. So that you can kind of get the idea of how to do this right, kind of out of the box and ready to go. The next is going to be on buying and selling. So how do the players actually interact with your stores, your shops that you're creating for them, how they can sell things, how they can buy things, all of that we're going to cover in that section. The next up is going to be adding items. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this, and I'm going to show you in the basic setup section how you would do it initially anyway, but there is another way that you can do it as well that it could potentially save you time, I guess. If you already know what you want to add and you know where to get it, then you can obviously add it directly to the store, and I'll show you all about that in that section. The final section will be on exporting and importing the setup that you've created. So maybe you spent a lot of time setting up a store or setting up a shop. I keep saying store. It should really be shops because that's what we're talking about here. And you spent a lot of time setting that up, adding an image, putting all your descriptions in, adding all of this cool stuff. And then you want to move it to, or not move it, but copy it to another world. Well, I'm going to show you how to do that so that you don't have to go through all of that process in the meantime. So, again, if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do that. Also know that we have a Discord server that is a community server that is literally growing like crazy at this point. And you'll see the link here. And this is a browser link now. It's not a link for you to enter into Discord. It's a browser link. So just go to your browser, type in discord.asmodeah.com. It'll take you to a page where you can it'll allow you to open up Discord and add yourself to our Discord server. I'd love it if you could do that, especially if you can help out some of the newer players. That would be fantastic. I would appreciate that. And if you're a newer player, come in and ask questions. It's awesome. So the last thing I'm going to mention before we get started is a shameless plug, and that is for my Startplaying.Games, and it is .games, not .com, Startplaying.Games. If you go there to this website, if you haven't already been there, it's actually pretty cool. It connects up DMs like me, and I'm there as DM Lee, by the way. If you go there, you'll see that they have a whole bunch of adventures that are there ready for you to play with some of these other DMs who have been doing this for many, many years, like myself. I am kind of new to the platform. Clearly, I'm not new to D&D. I've been doing it since Gary Gygax days. But if you see me in there, you'll notice I'm relatively new to the platform because I didn't really want to join a platform for the longest time, but then I kept getting recommendations to do that. So go take a look at startplaying.games and look me up if you'd like, and you'll see all the adventures that I have available. All right, let's get started with this. All right, first things first, let's talk about how we will install the module. And you're looking at my Foundry virtual tabletop server, and you'll notice it's got this at kind of at the top right-hand side here. It's warning me that, hey, I can upgrade the software. Well, that's because version 10 of Foundry has come out, which I'm super excited about. But I was waiting for a particular module to be ready to actually upgrade, and then because I use it so much. And that's item piles, by the way, and I'll leave a little card up at the top that you can go look at that one if you want to. If you haven't looked at that video, you will never look at a token ever the same again after you do that. It's amazing what they do. Anyway, but now it's ready for version 10, so I can go ahead and do that upgrade once I get done with some of this. Now, looking at this modules or add-on modules screen, you can see we can come down to install module, and you have obviously all of the options on the left-hand side to filter by. So if you wanted just content packs or whatever it is, you can click on these and it'll filter all these items on the right to be in that particular category of module. But in this case, we're just going to filter by name. So I'm just going to type at the top, monks, and you'll see the very first item on this list happens to be the one that we're talking about, which is Monk's Enhanced Journal. Now, I've already installed it into my server. And so you'll see that it shows you here the installed option right there. It shows it's been installed. If it wasn't installed, you'd see this button here down at just below here for this other one that it shows install. So you can just, if you haven't installed it, just click on install and it'll install it for you. And you can see we're looking at version 1.0.65 as of this recording. I'm sure it will probably update pretty quickly. So I've already done that, so I don't need to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and click on close. And we'll go back to my game worlds. And I have a ton of them in this server, and this is just one of many servers. But we've got this test world that we've got set up. So now that we've got it installed, we need to turn it on in our world, right? So we'll go over here. And by the way, if these icons look different to you, it's because I'm using a UI module that's called D&D, or Dungeons and Dragons 5 in particular. And so these little icons look the same. They all represent the same thing, but obviously they may look a little different to you. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this option over here for game settings. I'm going to go to manage modules, and I'm going to scroll down, and you'll see here's Monk's Enhanced Journal. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. And by the way, while I'm in here, there is another video that I created that has to do with checking the compatibility of modules before you upgrade to version 10. So if you're thinking about it and you want to make sure that your modules are all up to date, there is a module compatibility checker, and you'll see down at the bottom here, that's where that button comes from. You can go ahead and install that module, and then you'll see this kind of color codes everything here. And it's funny because it shows item piles as being still, and that's the one I've been waiting for, as still not compatible, but it actually is. It's been upgraded. So I guess I just probably need to redo this check to be sure it's right. But I just wanted you to know that's why you see all these modules are kind of different colors, right? So now that I've clicked that on, I'm going to click save, and it'll reload the server. So now we have the functionality of all of the features of this particular module. So let's start with the basic setup. So how do you kind of create a store really quickly that is just kind of a base setup? And of course you can modify it, but let's just kind of go through the steps to get you started. Okay. So I'm going to go over here to my roll tables icon, and you'll see I have folders here, which by the way comes from another module called Compendium Folders, which is awesome. It lets you kind of organize things here. But I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder, and I'm just going to call it Shops. And again, we're in the roll table section right now, and I'm going to go ahead and change this. I like mine to be green for my players. I don't know why. It's the way I started it. So I'm going to go to this kind of bright green. And you can see it says sorting mode is alphabetical, which is fine for me. You can make it manual if you want to. It's kind of up to you. And again, that's from Compendium Folders. So I'll create this folder. And now I've got the Shops folder that's here. And you'll see on the right-hand side, I have the ability to create a roll table. So I'm going to go ahead and create one. Now I'm just going to call this number 1. I'm just going to put a 1 there. And you can see it's going to put it in the Shops folder, which is perfect. That's what I want. So I'm just going to go ahead and create that. And now we've got this kind of blank, roll table that has nothing in it at the moment, right? So I'm going to close that. And the reason I only just named it number 1 is because when I do the import, it's going to rename it automatically. So let me go ahead and click on this Shops. I'll right click on this number 1, and I'm going to say import data. And then I'm going to go to choose folder here. And you'll see I have a bunch of kind of documents available to me here. Now, I'm going to leave a bunch of these links down below in the description so you can download these on your own to make it easier for you to kind of get started. And you'll notice that this actually says Axiom right here. The reason it says Axiom is because I got these base roll tables from a channel from a gentleman by the name of Axiom. And I'm going to leave a link to his channel down below in the description as well. Please show him some respect for give him respect for what he's done. I think that these kind of base roll table listings of all the different items that you can set up, or some of the different items you can set up, is fantastic. I think it's really great. So he deserves some respect. Visit his channel, like his channel, subscribe to his channel. I think you'll find that there's a lot of information there that you might like as well. So I'm just going to go ahead, since we're at the roll table portion of this, and you can see it says roll table right here, right? So I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to click on open and then import. All right, so now you see over here on the right, we've got this new shop that's called Shop General Store Axiom, right? Now I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to change this name. And the reason I'm going to change this name is because I'm in an adventure called Dragon of Icespire Peak, which many of you may know because it's pretty common for brand new players to go through that adventure first before any others. So the city that is kind of the base for this particular adventure is Phandalin. So in Phandalin, there is a shopkeeper that does general provisions, and his name is Barthen. So I'm just going to call this Barthen's Provisions. Okay, so that's kind of the name of his shop. I don't need to fill out any of this other information. It kind of doesn't really matter. But if I scroll down, I want to be able to update this. Click on update. And now you can see on the right-hand side, it says Barthen's Provisions. So now we've got the roll table with this base information in it. Now what's in this table? You can see that there's virtually everything is a compendium result type. So you're going to be finding it in a compendium. The question then becomes what compendium you're going to be looking for. And so in this case, it's, trade goods. You can look at see there's all these different options that are available to you. And then what's the name of the option? What's the weight of the option in pounds, obviously. And then this range is really just used to organize these items into some sort of order. So you'll see it's 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, 4 to 4, 5 to 5, and so on all the way down. And obviously that really is just to put it in an order that it shows up here. So you don't want these to be, 1 to 5 or, whatever. That's different. And for those of you that know what roll tables are, you'll know why that is. But obviously you want to make sure that these are just kind of 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, and so on, all the way down. All right, so now we've got this roll table set up. The next thing we need to do is actually create the store or the shop. I need to stop saying store. I need to say shop. Okay, so let's go over to our journal entry. And again, these icons may be a little bit different for you, but they all represent the same things. So here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to create a folder. And again, I'm going to call this shops. So we'll just make this shops. And again, I'm going to change this to a green color just because that's what I'm used to with my clients. Interesting. My players, they're used to green being what they have access to. So I'm going to make this kind of a bright green because we're going to make a subfolder that'll be a little darker. So you'll see here that it says sorting mode is alphabetical as opposed to manual. You can set that any way you want. It's really kind of up to you. You can do whichever you prefer. So I'm going to create that folder. So now I've got this one folder, and if I click on this folder, it gives us an option to create another folder. So I'm going to create another folder. And in this case, I'm going to call this folder Phandalin. And why am I doing that? Because that's the name of the city, the basic town or city that this particular adventure is based around for the most part. All right, so then I'm going to go here and I'm going to change it to green, but this time I'm going to make it like a darker green. So it shows up as kind of darker underneath. So actually I'll make it a little darker than that. All right, and so now the sorting mode again, I'm just going to leave as alphabetical. I'll click on create folder and you can see now we've got this new folder underneath that's kind of a darker green color for Phandalin. So now I'm going to create in the store, and if you look here on the map, this building right here is Barthen's Provisions. And we know that because we've got a map note here that says Barthen's Provisions. Now, the players don't see this map note, but I know that this is Barthen's Provisions, so this is where it's located. Now, that'll be important in a moment, right? So now I'm going to go over here back to the right, and I'm going to click on Create a New Journal Entry. And this time I'm going to actually call it what I want. So I'm going to make it Barthen's Provisions. And under type, this is the cool part about what this module does. It gives you all these different types of journal entries that are kind of pre-configured in layout and usage that are awesome for various things. And again, I could do a 5-hour video on this, and I'm not going to make that happen to you today. That's why I'm adding all the chapter markers down below so you can jump around if you want to. But you can see I'm going to select shop here, and you'll see why that is in a minute. And then you see, obviously, it's in the folder Phandalin. So I'm just going to say, okay, create the new journal entry. And you see, boom, now we have this very cool kind of blank layout for a shop that you can then work on and customize to be your own. So let's take a look at some of the different settings for this shop and what you can customize here and why you might want to. So obviously you can see that there's an image here, and this will be the image of the shop, or you can make it whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. You can make it the proprietor image if you really want to. But if you just click on it, it gives you the option to be able to set these different images, and I'll just go through here. So if I wanted to, I could set this to a store front look. I can do pretty much whatever I want to do here. Now, I'm not going to do that right now because later on we're going to talk about how to export and import. And I'm going to show you, I've created already this store with all the settings that I want in this store. And so I'm going to show you how to import that so you don't have to do this customization again if you've already done it. So now, of course, we've got the name here at the top, and you can change that to be whatever you want it to be. Obviously, you can make it whatever you want. And under shop type, it's really, again, this, I shouldn't say again, I should be telling you, this shop type and this location are really whatever you want to put in here. It's really kind of up to you. So I'm just going to put, for example, general provisions. Okay. So that's just what I picked. As far as a location, I'm just going to put in Fanolin because that's where it is. So now we know that this store is located in Fanolin. Now, under these other two options, these are a little more important. So you'll notice if I click on this, you've got a few different settings. You've got under closed, you've got the hidden and visible. What that means is that if the store is, let's say that it's late at night, the store is not open anymore, the proprietors closed it up or whatever, and you can make the items in it hidden so that they can't see any of those items, even if they go into the store, assuming they have a way to get to the store. And I'll show you what I mean about that in a minute. If they don't have a way to get to the store, it's got to be shown to them by you, the GM or DM. So in other words, here, if it's closed and hidden, they won't see any items in the store. If it's closed and it's visible, the items in the store are visible, but they're not going to be able to purchase anything or do anything because the store is closed, right? So now if we go to open, obviously there's kind of three options here. The GM only means I as the GM am the one that has to show them the store. So maybe what I want is I want the players to have to interact with the proprietor first and talk to that proprietor prior to them seeing what's actually in the store. And that's perfect. That's perfectly fine. The next is anyone. And what anyone means is if they have a way to get to the store, again, if there's a way for them to click on something, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. If there's a way for them to get on something, they can go or click on something, they can go in and purchase or sell or do whatever they want, kind of willy-nilly. There's no control. There's visibility. You'll see it in the chat log, but there is no kind of interaction with the GM at all. So kind of the GM is the exact opposite of anyone, right? So the third option is request purchase. And this is what I set mine to. And the reason I do that is because if a player wants to buy something, they're requesting a purchase by or from the proprietor. Now, I, as the DM, I am the proprietor, right? So I might want to modify that purchase somewhat. I might want to change the price. I might want to, change the quantity. There's any number of things that I might want to do, and then send that back to as kind of a not really counter offer, but a counter purchase offer to the player, and the player can then accept it or not, or whatever. They can haggle and do whatever they want to do. But what's important about that is that I, as the DM, have total visibility over all of these different interactions that are happening with my players and with their purchases. And for me, that's important because, if they show up all of a sudden with a +3 shield as a level 4 player, I'm going to go, where'd you get that? And if they say, oh, I bought it from the store, yeah, you can't really do that as a level 4 player. Sorry. That's kind of over your head, right? So, so it's important to make sure that you have visibility, in my opinion, over those things. Now, player selling, kind of the same. However, there's these three options. Number one is the store or the shop won't buy anything from the players. However, they will sell, obviously. The second option is anyone, which is just like the other one. It's kind of, can I sell something to the store? Can I do whatever I want? I can do whatever I want. Now, here's my problem with this. Theoretically, the player could, let's say, go into their inventory for arrows and change an arrow to be 10,000 gold piece pricing, right? And then offer that, and I'm going to show you how they do that in a little bit. They could offer that to the storekeeper. And the storekeeper under anyone is going to go, okay, fine, and pay 10,000 gold piece for an arrow. So to me, that's a little dangerous to do that. I think it's not that I don't trust any of my players. I do, but you never know. You might have a new player that doesn't know better and maybe even does it accidentally, right? So I don't use this anyone option. I use this make an offer option. And what that does is if they decide they want to sell something, it shows up as an offer in my chat log. And I'm going to show you this in a little bit. It shows up as an offer in my chat log, and I can then confirm it. We can haggle, we could do whatever we want. And then once I, as the proprietor, have said, okay, I'm fine with that, I can then basically set that offer, and then the player can accept it, and then it's consummated, right? So that's why I set it to make an offer. I think for me, it gives me more visibility, but number two, it also kind of does some quality control, I guess, is the best way to look at it. All right. So now we've set all these base options here, and I'm going to show you what these are at the top here in a little bit. I'll go through those as well because they are important. The next thing is items, and obviously this is like the items in your store, and I'm going to show you how to populate those in a second. But really quick, I'm just going to say under these relationships and notes, I don't really use them. There may be some reasons for them, and feel free to kind of take a look at or do some research in the plugin about why you might want to use those. I don't really use them. I just don't find them useful for me in my games, so I kind of don't utilize them. I wish I could turn them off, but I can't do that. So under items, how do we populate this store? And so again, this being the basic setup, I'm just going to show you how to, as kind of a basic process, populate the items in your store. So remember, we created over here this roll table. Let me move this over just a little bit. We created this roll table called Barthen's Provisions that has a bunch of stuff in it, right? So coming back over here, if I go to this items section, and then right here, this little icon shows populate from roll table, right? So from roll table table. So if I click on that, you see that I have an option to select a roll table. Now, unfortunately, I don't know why this particular module does this, and you're not going to be able to see this clearly because it pops up and it goes all the way across the screen, which is kind of silly, but it is what it is. So when I click on this, you're going to see this giant white box, but trust me, I'm going all the way down to the bottom of that list of all these different roll tables, and I'm just selecting the one that I created, which is this Barthen's Provisions. So, and that just happens to be all the way at the bottom. Now, the next option is this number of items. Now, this is the number of items that it's going to import for you into the store, and you may not know what this number is. So rather than cut off any of the number of imported items, I just do what I do. I just put like 99, or if you want, you can put 999. It doesn't really matter as long as it's well over the number that are going to be coming in as part of this roll table. The second option is this quantity of items, and this is the default quantity that is going to show up as an item if there is no quantity set in the roll table. So if there isn't anything, this is going to be a 1. It's just going to do it as a 1. The next is this option to clear items. And this you would use if, for example, you've got a shop already populated, and now you're going to clear out all of those other items and repopulate it with new information from this roll table that you're about to import. So that's the only time that you would use this. If you want to clear out all of the items that you already have and replace them with what you're about to import. All right, so I'm not going to do that, obviously. This last one here is very interesting because you'll see there's 3 options. One is increase quantity, and then add additional, and then do not add. Now, what does that mean? So for a duplicate item, let's say a player selects 10 arrows, okay? They want to buy 10 arrows. And then they go back and they go, oh, wait, I want to buy another 10, right? So if they select another 10, there's 3 different ways that the shop will handle this. One is increase the quantity of the original 10 that they had to 20 because it sees it as a duplicate item. Or the second option under this add additional is it will add another line item in there, and I'm using air quotes here. If you could see me, you'd see me, I'm doing air quotes. It would add another 20 as a line item in their shopping cart. Or it will just not add. So if they select a duplicate item, it's like, nope, we're not going to do that. You need to go back and change the quantity. Well, for me, I think the best experience for my players is just increase the quantity, right? I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't do that. I think just increasing the quantity makes the most sense. So that's how I set up my store initially for this roll table of items. So I'm just going to click yes, and you'll see, voila, now we have all these items in the store based on the roll table that we just imported. Now, again, you can go through and you can change a bunch of these items if you want to. You can change the quantity of the number of items. And by the way, this quantity is the quantity of items that they have in stock in the store. Okay, so this is what they have basically have available to sell in the store. And then there's the price, there's the cost. What's the difference? The price is a base price, and the cost is what this proprietor is selling for. So maybe they offer discounts by default to adventurers that are helping them in their particular city. So maybe they're going to discount those a little bit. The next option is a lock, where you can see if you lock this item, the item is it's there, but it can't be changed in terms of quantity. It also can't be changed in terms of price. It's going to be locked. The next is the hide and show the item. So you can literally you can hide the item so they don't even see it. It's not even there. It's not even available for them to see. The next is the edit the item. So it basically, if you click on it, it kind of opens up the item itself and gives you the ability to edit the details of this particular item all the way down to the cost and everything else that's here. So you can then save that, and it will change there. Obviously, the last one is the trash can, which just deletes the item of its own. Okay, so that's how you do a basic setup. And by the way, this area on the right here, you'll notice, is interestingly very similar to on the right hand side. And if I go back to the journal items here, you'll see on the right hand side it looks very similar to what we're seeing here in this box here. So all this is doing is it's giving you the ability to kind of edit and create this information right inside this window here. So you don't have to go over here on the right-hand side and do that if you don't want to. Okay, so that is how we essentially set up a basic store and get it kind of up and running. Okay, so next, let's talk about how to buy and sell. Let's actually work on using one of these stores. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Now, here's the interesting part of this. If you don't have the store on your map, the only way that your players are going to see it is, and I'm just going to open it up one more time, is to click this little icon here that says show to players. Okay, so they will not see this store. They will not have access unless there's somewhere on the map where they would have access to that. So looking over at my player side, if I go back here to the players window, this is the player side, you can see that over here in Barthen's Provisions area, there is no map, or I'm sorry, there is no icon for them to be able to open up the store. So either I have to show it to them if they talk to Barthen, or they're not going to see the store itself. So let's jump back over to the Foundry side real quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this icon here for Barthen's Provisions onto the map. And you can see it gives you some options. You can change the label of what's shown to the players. You can change the type of icon that's shown for the particular map icon. In this case, it's the hanging sign, which I think obviously makes more sense. You could obviously, if you want to, change the color of the icon. If you want, you can change the font size, where the text is, and all of that. So you can do all of those things right from this option. And you can see it even gives you the option to change the particular journal entry that you're putting in. Now, we obviously want it to just be Barthen's Provisions. So I'm going to say update map note, and now the map note is now here for Barthen's Provisions. So now if I jump back over to my player side, you can see that if I update this screen, well, actually it did update the screen, nothing's here, right? So there's nothing to see yet for the player. So let's jump back over to Foundry real quick and decide why that is. Well, it's real simple. If you you right click on this particular shop or this journal entry, and you select configure permissions, you can see all the players have no visibility of this particular map pin. So there's nothing for them to see yet. So if I click on that and I say observer, and then I save the changes, and now I'm going to jump back over here in the player side, and voila, there is that icon there. And if this player double clicks on that, he now has the view of the store. So this is a really good place for us to talk about the buying and selling and how we actually accomplish that as a player. So let's say, I'm just going to move this just a hair. Let's say that the player wants to buy some arrows, right? And you can see there's 51 arrows in the store. He's going to click on, or she is going to click on purchase, and it'll pop up. And let's just say he wants to buy 10, just for sake of argument. And if I hit the tab, you'll see it will calculate. So now it's 50 copper piece. The plugin will look at the player's capability to purchase. So if they don't have the money for it, it will show a message saying they don't have the money for that. So if we say yes to this, and we put it in here, you'll notice, boom, it pops up over here in the chat log for the player to see. Now, what's important is, again, remember, I set this to request purchase, right? So now it has to request it from me as the proprietor. So I'm going to jump back over here to the Foundry side, and you'll see that now I, as the proprietor or as the DM, have an offer from Gendon at Barthen's Provisions to buy 10 arrows at 5 copper piece each for a total of 50 copper piece. Now, I can change this price. So if I want to be nice to this particular player and say, well, you know what, I'm going to sell them to you for 4. So I can just change that to a 4. And when I hit the tab key, you'll see it'll say 40 copper piece. And it, by the way, if I jump back over to the player side, you'll see the exact same thing over in their window. Over here, you now have 40 copper piece. It's reflected there. And so let me go back over to the Foundry side. I'm going to say accept. And now this has been accepted as a purchase. And if I jump back over to the player side, you can see in their window it says this item has been added to inventory. So we've got it set up to go, and it will have taken the 40 copper piece out of their inventory as well. So that's how we do a purchase from the store. So now, or we've done the buying from the store. So now let's do a sale. So let's say that this particular, I'm going to close this just for a second. Let's say that this player, and here's Gendon, you've seen him many, many, many times in my videos. I'm just going to move this over here. And let's say in his inventory, he's got some arrows that he wants to sell for whatever reason. He's got, in this case, he's got 5. You'll notice that there's 10 here. And the reason that this 10 is here, that were added by this purchase, is because if you click on this, you actually look at, actually, I guess it's not going to show you this here. But the reason that it did this is because the pricing is different for this particular set of arrows than this particular set of arrows. That's the whole reason. Plus, the weight is also different. So if he got these arrows from some other location that has a different price or a different weight or what have you, it's going to add these arrows as a separate item in his inventory, which makes total sense. I get it. There's kind of it because if he wants to sell them, he may want to sell them back at a price that's different than what he bought them for, and that means he needs to change his information about this particular item. And if you click over here, you'll see These were purchased at 4 copper piece each. They're basically a half a pound here, and the quantity is 10. But that's based on the information coming from the purchase that he just did. So that aside, let's say he wants to sell these arrows, or maybe one of these arrows. It doesn't really matter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over to, in the player window, I'm going to go back over to the journal. I'm going to go to the shop. I'm going to open that shop. And I'm just going to move this over here. And I'm going to drag this arrow over to the shop here. And now I'm going to say, well, I want to sell 3. And these I purchased at 2 copper piece each. But let's say I want to, if I wanted to sell them for a different price, I would have to negotiate that price with the DM or the proprietor of the store. I'd have to negotiate that price. So I'm just going to go ahead and say I want to sell 3. And so that's going to come out at 6 copper piece here. And let me go ahead and close this. And you'll see under the chat log now, Genin is offering to sell, and you can see it says sell right here. Genin is offering to sell an item or items, 3 of them, for 2 copper piece each, and they are 3 of them at 2 copper piece, a total of 6, right? So let's go back over to the Foundry side, and you can see here is this very same offer. So now Genin is trying to offer these 3 arrows at 2 copper piece, and I can go, well, no, I'll offer you 1 copper piece each for those. So now I can then click offer. And when we go back over to the player side, the player now sees that there is an option here, or an offer here, for 3 items or 3 arrows at essentially 1 copper piece. And so it's 3 total. I can accept this as the player, or I can cancel it and just go, no, I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to cancel it. And it says right here, sale has been canceled. If I go back over to the Foundry side, it shows you the same. Sale has been canceled. See? So now that's how the selling side works for this, so that you could sell essentially anything you want and at whatever price that you want to the various proprietors, and you can have visibility to all of that information, which I think is super, super cool. All right, so now let's talk about how do we add items to the store. And we can do that obviously through a roll table, but what's another way that we can do this to make it a little easier and simpler to do? So, all right, back over here in the Foundry side, and let me just go ahead and clear this chat log right here so that we don't have to look at all that stuff. All right, so what I want to do is I want to come back into the journal, and we'll open up the shop. And so now we have the shop open, ready to be edited or added to, or whatever we want to do with this, right? So what I want to do, let's say I want to add, we've got all kinds of different things in here, but let's add like an abacus. Let's just add one of those. So looking at this listing for the store here, and actually I think I can close that off. Looking at the inventory for the store, I'm going to go over to my compendium options, the compendium packs here, and I know it's cut off a little bit there for you on your side. I'm going to click on that. Let me move this over. And I'm just going to do a search for item so that I've got these items here. So you can see I've got 2 different compendiums. One is the items SRD, the standard reference document, or then I've got the D&D Beyond item list as well. Now I'm going to use the standard reference because it's got pricing where some of the D&D Beyond items don't. So I'm just going to go here and click on that. And you'll see at this top left side here, let me move this over just a hair. And let me move this out here. All right. So now you can see we've got an abacus here at the top of our compendium. And if I click on it, it'll show me the abacus details, including the price, the weight, all of that information. And it even shows where it's coming from, right? So I'm going to just drag that over to my store. So now if you scroll down a little bit under loot, and remember this said it's loot right there, right? Under loot, you'll see, voila, there is an abacus item, and there is one available to purchase at 2 gold piece each. And so now that's available in the store. And I can change this. I could change this to 155. I can do whatever I want, right? I can make this item available at whatever price. I can set the limit the quantity. I can do anything I want. I can hide it. I can do all the things that I can do normally for any of these items here. And I'm going to delete this item because I don't see the purpose in selling an abacus here in the general store, but you can see that's how you delete it. So that's another way to populate your store. So if you've got a list of items that you think is important to you that you want to create a shop for, then you can create a custom shop with just the items that you want at the prices that you want, at the weights that you want. Everything is set specifically by you. Okay, so let me close this, and I'm going to show you now. You'll see here is the store as it sits right now. So let's talk about exporting and importing these stores, or these shops. Gosh, I need to start saying, I don't know why I keep saying stores. These shops into your another one of your worlds. You may have another world that you want all of this cool stuff that you've created, and it's all set up and ready to go. And now you want to bring it into one of your other worlds to use there with all of the stuff that you've customized already built out. So here's the cool part. I'm just gonna close this out, and I'm gonna go back over to my journal entries, and I'm gonna go back into Barthen's provisions. This time I'm going to, and this is the journal entries now. Okay, so I'm gonna right click on this, and I'm gonna say import data, and then choose a file. And now you can see over here, I have already built out a Barthen's general store, Barthen's provisions general store. Already it's built and ready to go as a journal entry. It has items in it already. So I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to open it. Now what I did, and I'll show you this in a second, but what I did is I just exported it, right? So I did the opposite. So if I go over here and I right click on, I can't do that while I'm doing this. So let me go ahead and import this. All right, so now I'm going to say import. And if I go to Barthen's general store, look at this. Now I've got an image that's here. I've got a description that I've put in, and you can put images in this description just like you can in any other store that you want to set up for. You could put a picture in here of Barthen. You could put essentially whatever you want in here, and it will appear any way you want. Now once you've done all this, and let me go over here to items, you can see I've got custom number of items available, and I've changed some of these things. I've changed a couple of the prices around. I've done a couple of different things, but now that I've done this and I've got it all set up and ready to go, the only thing I need to do if I want to save this to bring it in and do what I've just done, right, is right click on it and select export data. And now I can then export it, and I'm going to go to temp, which is where it was. You can see there's these items here. I'm not going to do this because I've already done it, but you can see I could just export it here, save it, and now voila, I have it all set up and ready to go. Now, a couple of quick things to note about this. Obviously, I have set up, and in some cases, I've set up pictures, and I'm going to show you that in a second. Those pictures have to exist in your server. So now if you're going to move this from one server to another server, that might be a little challenging because the images that you may be trying to pull in don't exist in that other server in the exact same place as they do in your other servers. So just kind of keep that in mind. So let me explain that again. Let's say server A is the one we have here, set up, ready to go, done. I've added pictures. I've done everything. I've got it all ready to go. I've got now server B, and I want to import these shops into server B. The problem is I haven't imported all the images that I may have added to these shops into server B at the exact same spot. So you might find that some of those, if you move them over, don't carry those images with them. So you're going to need to make sure that those images in server A and server B are in the same place. Then you can absolutely do this import and you won't have a problem. Okay. Just so you know, I just want to make sure that that's kind of clear to everybody. Okay. So remember I had mentioned to you, you could create another store, another shop outside of Phandalin. So this particular one is inside Phandalin. I'm just going to close that folder. I'm just going to add another shop that is outside of Phandalin. It's not necessarily, I don't necessarily want it to be in Phandalin. And for those of you that know the Dragon of Icespire Peak adventure, there is a quest called Umbrage Hill. And in Umbrage Hill, you will meet Adabra. Adabra has potions, right? And I hope I'm not spoiling anything. Spoiler alert. Sorry, I should have said that earlier. If you haven't already played Dragon of Icespire Peak, then just forget what I just told you, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and add Adabra's potions. All right, and again, I'm going to select here the shop option. And I'm going to leave it under shops, but not under the Phandalin portion. It's outside of Phandalin. So I'm just going to create that journal entry. And so here we've got the blank Adabra's potions set up, but I've already created this and I've done a lot of customization to this. So I'm just going to close it and I'm going to right click on it here, select import data, select choose file. And now I'm going to go look over here and you could see I've got a journal entry already created called Adabra's Potions, right? I've already done this work. It's already ready to go. And it's in this server, so I know that all of the images that I have used for this particular shop are there and ready to go. So I'm going to click on that, click on open, click on import, and then I'm going to go back over here and click on Adabra's Potions, and voila. Now we have a cool image of Adabra's shop over here on the left. There's Adabra. Here's some information about her. You can even show her image if you want, just like you do with any other journal. If you click on this and just click on no here because you're not wanting to create another handout, you're just trying to click the ability to show the image to your players. And if I do that and I click on no, and now I shoot back over to the player side, you can see, hey, there's Adabra there. So if I want to show Adabra to the rest of the team, the players, there she is, right? So, okay, going back over to the Foundry server, we've got everything already set up and ready to go. Now, lastly, I'm going to show you all of these icons at the top. And I kind of showed you one already, all these up here. I kind of showed you one already. One is the first, which is show to players. And again, if you have not created a place on the map for your players to be able to access this shop, they will not be able to. So you're going to have to show it to them. You're going to have to physically show them the shop. So let's say Adabra doesn't have a location to on Adabra's map where she is for the players to be able to see it. So they talk to Adabra and they say, "Oh, Adabra, I want to. Do you have any healing potions?" She says, "Well, of course, my dear, of course, I have some. Here you go. Let me bring them up for you to see." So now you have some options here to show just the picture, which obviously is not what we want in this particular case. We want to change the permissions to observer. So essentially, all of the players will be set to observer of this shop, which means it will show up in their right side under their journals. It'll be available for them to see. Or if you want to just show it to a specific player, you can click this option, or you can show it to all the players by clicking this button at the bottom left. So if you select any of these options up here, you're going to want to click this right button, says show. Otherwise, if you want to show it to everybody, then you're just going to click on show to all. So I'm going to click on show to all, and then I'm going to jump back over here to the players side, and you can see the players now see the shop, and they're first seeing the description. they can click on items, and there you go. Now they have the ability to then look at all of these items or purchase all of these items from the shop. Now, one thing that we had set before, and I'll go back over here, is I had showed you before, won't purchase from players, which means none of the players can drag anything onto Adabra's potion shop and sell them, because she doesn't buy from anybody. She sells, but she doesn't buy. Okay, so that is the exporting and importing into your other worlds that you might want to use, or even other servers. So I kind of covered that as well. All right, I think that's pretty much it for how to utilize this particular part of the module. However, you do remember I had mentioned that I was going to ask a question at the end of this video, and I want to be sure I do that because I need to know from those of you that have servers like this, and I'm going to close this up. How many of you actually would use a plugin like this? Now, I use it because it makes it so much easier for me to limit what players can buy in certain locations. However, that's not necessarily what you may want to do. So please do me a favor, in the comments below, shoot me a little comment and just tell me, yes, I would use this, or no, I wouldn't use this, or why would you not? Tell me why you wouldn't use it. I mean, I'm open to hearing whatever it is that you want to tell me about that, because I think it's important for us to know. So that's it, folks. And obviously, if you have not already done so, I'm going to ask you once again, please hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, please hit that like button for us to help us kind of grow this out. And obviously, you want to be notified of any new videos that are coming out. I've got a stack of them that I've got coming up here. And again, lastly, I will just remind you, please go to our Discord server. And again, this is a browser link I'm showing you here. It's a browser link. It's not a link inside of Discord. So if you go to your browser and just type in discord.asmodeah.com, it'll take you to a place where it will either open up your Discord for you, or if it's already open, you'll have the ability to just add yourself directly to our Discord community. I think that would be awesome if you could do that. That being said, as always, when you're adventuring, be careful, be safe, and be kind. Peace.